What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka All Fires. Well, back in the day of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, the Russos would take to social media to post cryptic teases, to say the least. A photo with very little explanation, and then we would all try to figure out what the Easter egg was. Well, they're back at it again today with a cryptic tease, to say the least. No, really. This is the photo they shared to Instagram with the hashtag Doomsday is coming. We're going to go ahead and break this down because we think we figured out what it is, and while I'm probably going to have to take a minute in post to see if I can exactly source it, we are going to talk about what the Russos shared and what this photo means for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. But quickly first, if you could grab the subscribe button, thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel, and if you haven't already, I would just kindly invite you to do so. It's the #1 thing you can do to support us as content creators, plus it'll enter you for all the giveaways if you want. Stick around to the end of the video, we'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so here we are with this photo that the Russos shared, and again, as I mentioned during the prologue, back in the day of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, they used to do this a lot, and some of those photos, we would get all in a tizzy, and there was really nothing in there. Well, this one is a little different, because we actually know exactly what it is. This is a close-up and blurred of Reed Richards' chalkboard with chalk scribbled on it, and if you look closely there, that middle rail that's got the gold up front with a lip underneath, that's clearly present in the photo as well. Now, obviously, it's blurred out, and I am going to spend some time in post with the shots that we've got, seeing if I can line this up exactly with any of the notes that existed on this board. Remember, they are reusing some of the Fantastic Four sets, as well as others on the set of Avengers Doomsday, but more specifically, I was thinking about it as I was hunting for this already. There's a good chance that this is on the set of Avengers Doomsday, and whatever chalk notes were used during the Fantastic Four have probably been taken down and replaced with new notes that are present for whatever's going on with the narrative. So what we can draw from this, however, is that it is on set in the Baxter building, and it's definitely Reed Richards' chalkboard. Now, whether or not this is meant to be a major reveal, who knows, because it may be blurred out or distorted or even destroyed, sort of destructed actual pixels to the point where no matter what you try to do to clear it up with a Photoshop filter, we may not be able to sharpen what this exactly says. Now, my gut inclination, and just as a fan, wants to believe that that has something to do with explaining how the Fantastic Four have figured out multiversal travel now. Remember, direct quotes from Reed Richards during the film imply that he knows that there's a multiverse, but they certainly didn't know how to trap Galactus there, or that would have been a pretty perfect solution. Well, yeah, dooming your sort of parallel universe to having to deal with them themselves, you at least would have alleviated that problem. They didn't even think of that as a solution. So obviously, things have changed. Their technology has grown to a point where they can just go to the 616 a la the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, and at least now, for theory crafting at the channel, we're holding to that's not Doom on the ship, but there were some specific quotes from Kevin Feige about our Avengers and characters from the 616 being in the kitchen in the Baxter building, and what a sight that was, which means the Avengers, or at least some of them, are headed back to the 828 after their introduction, again, during the post-credit scene of the Thunderbolts, which we know was directed by the Russos. So using the breadcrumbs here, including the photo that they leaked today, Fantastic Four show up in the 616, explain what's going on with Doctor Doom, and probably some of what's going on with the multiverse and incursions. Then they all head on to the Fantastic Four ship, a la that set photo leak, where we saw Falcon, the Thing, John Walker, and a little boot of what looks like Shuri in the corner. All of their heroes head back to the 828, and at some point, they're trying to figure out what to do about Doctor Doom in the war room, which is where we see Reed Richards in front of his chalkboard trying to work out the math or explaining the multiverse, which we presume that this little snippet blurred out is part of. So I have to imagine that if you were able to zoom out of that photo all the way from where it was taken or the back of the room, it wouldn't just be the Fantastic Four standing in front of that chalkboard, but some of our Avengers as well. Now, really, this just speaks to the size and the scope of this film, but we're hearing a lot more actors one by one, as either they've come off of filming and wrapped now, at least for the time being, on principal photography, or been doing interviews just talking about how massive the scope of Avengers Doomsday is. Real recently, we just got this quote from David Harbour last night, as he went on to say, quote, "I was not even convinced when we started, and this movie's going to be really good. They have a special sauce. I don't even really understand, but the directors, they just know how to do these things." And I think that was evidence in Civil War, as evidence in Infinity War. There's something about the layers in which they put the comedy and the drama and the surprises and the scale and the epicness and all that stuff. It's incredible. I will say, I've never been on a set like this in my life. I've never seen anything like this. You saw those chairs, so it's like every one of those guys and girls has a trailer. It's just insane to look around the room and be like, oh my god, I'm in the movie. There's what's his face. It's just enormous. And even the Russos themselves this past weekend, when they did that whole tease for Avengers Doomsday, made sure to say that this was the biggest movie that they had ever done, that it is actually bigger than Avengers Endgame, and it is bigger than Avengers Infinity War, which is crazy to think, but just by the sheer number of characters that they have to work on in the ensemble, and that they have to be able to afford dialogue and have a reason for being there, just that work in and of itself, as we said in the early days when they were shaping the script, had to have been an incredible process and extremely hard. If you go back and look at Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, there were plenty of characters that were in the room at the same time several times throughout the film, but have still never interacted in the MCU. That's just how it goes. You're not going to get to see every character talk to each other. It's presumed that they did off screen because they were part of the same thing in the same room at the same time, but there just was no on-screen dialogue between them, no interaction in the actual canon. And if anything, I think deeper relationships were already established very obviously off the back of things like Captain America Civil War as we headed into Infinity War, where they didn't have to do any explaining. Well, now we're headed into a situation where a lot of characters have never met each other at all, and at risk of there being a lot of false action and dead dialogue where everybody's just introducing each other and talking about things that the audience doesn't know, just going through the motions, it seems like, again, that's another hoop they have to jump through to explain how and why all of these characters work together. And to tie it all back to this little clip that the Russos shared this morning, the truth of it is that opposing Doctor Doom and part of his duality is Reed Richards. So you expect in an instance like we just enumerated, where there is a lot to get through, a lot of characters to be introduced, a lot of plot to explain, Reed Richards is going to be the central point of that, the sauce that brings that all together. And in that, you know, them sharing a part of his chalkboard as he's trying to plan what they're going to do across the multiverse to thwart Doom is a huge Easter egg in and of itself, regardless if the actual writing on this is specific to the plot and what he solved about multiversal travel. But you guys let me know all your thoughts down below, and if any of you want to take a crack at trying to figure out what this actually says, I'm all for it. Also, you can go ahead and try to screen match it, but don't spend too much time doing that because this is a new set and these notes may not have been seen on screen before. You may just be on a rabbit chase on a rabbit you can't actually catch. Let me know all your thoughts down below quickly. If you want to be entered to win for the giveaways, just be a sub, leave a comment because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here, live with my voice in the winning comment shown on screen. Best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under the name Allfires. While I'd sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.